Giannis Antetokounmpo could actually be a Miami Heat very soon. I cannot believe this is a reality where we live in right now. And I understand, this is very wishful thinking. This is something that could potentially be a waste of a video. But quite frankly, this is a very, very real possibility. Giannis Antetokounmpo, according to Brian Windhorst, actually requested a trade this past offseason, but the Bucks, for whatever reason, didn't give it to him. So I don't know what they were planning. I guess they sold Giannis in and they said, hey, this team can actually be competitive. We have this kid, Ryan Rollins, Miles Turner's coming in. We're going to be better than you expected. And no, they're about as bad as we thought. They're pretty bad, actually. And look, I understand Milwaukee Bucks fans this is probably going to be a hard pill for them to swallow, given the fact that Giannis is probably the best Milwaukee Buck in history. Outside of Kareem, I don't think so. I think Giannis is better. But nonetheless, this is going to be a very hard pill for the Bucks fans to swallow. But, it's time for the inevitable to happen. There is no better fit in the entire NBA than Giannis and Heat's culture. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. And on top of that, given the new thing we know about the Miami Heat, the new thing being the Miami Heat actually play exciting basketball, I think that this is going to fit perfectly. Now, the only problem is we don't know who to trade. I don't know who to trade, so that's what this video is for. Someone's going to have to go. Someone's going to have to go on this Miami Heat team, and it's a shame because we're really starting to fall in love with a lot of players on this team. Like guys like Andrew Wiggins, guys like Tyler. Tyler we've fallen in love with for a long time. Khalil Ware, right? Jaime Jaquez Jr., not so much Nikola Jovic, but we all hoped that he would end up developing into something more. Honestly, it's very, 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 very interesting what could potentially happen if the Miami Heat do end up trading for a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, with this being said, who should we offer? What should be the deal? And who exactly should the Miami Heat trade for a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo? It has to be a lot because it's freaking Giannis Antetokounmpo, ladies and gentlemen. I am not talking about a player that's about to be like mid-30s. No, this is peak Giannis Antetokounmpo, okay? This man has averaged like 30 points per game for like 5 straight seasons. Some of the greatest basketball we've ever seen in history. Literally carrying the Bucks year after year after year. He's a proven winner. He's a champion. A 52-point closeout performance against the Suns back in 2021. Guys, this is the real deal. This is a possibility, but it's going to take a lot. So who should it be? I'm actually going to be very depressed who we have to trade away because this team that's playing so far this year has been so fun to watch. Easily the funnest Heat team I've seen in a very, very long time. Now, a quick reminder of what kind of cap we're dealing with. Giannis very recently signed a contract extension with an average salary of $58 million a year. His cap hit this year is $54 million. Next year, $58 million. Now, Giannis does have an out if it does not work out here in Miami. It's the player option worth $62 million. Now, I don't know why Giannis would dare declining $62 million, but Giannis is a very, unusual cat. He really, really cares about winning. This is a man who's literally pushed and pressured the Bucks to make winning moves pretty much every single year. He's been a top 5 player in the world, and that's been since 2018, 2017, and the Bucks have followed suit for the most part. Trading for a Jrue Holiday, right? Trading for even a Damian Lillard, making these big splash moves to try to get Giannis or make Giannis very happy, and it was working until it didn't work. The trade of Damian Lillard really sent everything down a downward spiral. Now we are here, and look, this is going to be a very, very interesting contract to trade with, if I'm being honest. Like I said, this is a generational player. This is a top 3 power forward of all time that we're talking about. So the price is going to be very high. Giannis is 31 years old, but it doesn't look like he's slowing down if we're being blunt. You guys thought I was joking when I said this man was averaging literally 30 every single year for the last like 5 years. That is not hyperbole. That is legitimately what's been going on. And if I'm being completely honest, one of these years he probably deserved an MVP. Although, I mean, Nikola Jokic was just ridiculous. So since the 2019-2020 season, this man has not averaged under 28 points. This man, just going to go and show you guys real quick. This man is literally on like plus 50% shooting every single, and the last 3 years he's been 60%. Now granted, look, the three-point shooting has been trash, okay? But one thing you guys ought to understand is that his mid-range shooting, if you've been paying attention to Giannis Antetokounmpo, has been incredible these last couple of seasons. He's improved tremendously as a mid-range jump shooter. He's improved tremendously as a post player. So again, I'm just establishing the groundwork. This is the kind of guy that we're trading for. All right, we finally made it to the trade machine. I've given you guys plenty of context of who Giannis is as a player, and enough's enough. Let's just get to the trade talk, right? Look, man, this is going to be a very, very hard thing for a lot of Heat fans to swallow. We're going to have to trade, guaranteed going to have to trade, both Tyler Hero and Andrew Wiggins in order to make this deal work. Yeah, unfortunately, both Tyler Hero and Andrew Wiggins are going to need to be a part of this trade. And the reason for that is money. Money needs to work here. Now, the good news for Milwaukee is that one of these contracts of Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is actually a Milwaukee native on top of that, and he's also relatively young. I believe he's like 24 years old. So I do think that this actually works out perfectly for the Milwaukee Bucks because they finally get a scoring guard who's great in the pick and roll, has a great floater and mid-range game, and somebody to keep things entertaining while you're going through your tank. And then look, Andrew Wiggins, look, if you want to keep him, you can. Andrew Wiggins to me seems more like an expiring contract more than anything. Let me go ahead and add Giannis to this trade. I know it's going to hurt a lot of Bucks fans. So yeah, so Tyler Hero and Andrew Wiggins have to be involved in this trade. And then on top of that, I'm going to assume that Milwaukee is going to want one of our young players. And this is where it's going to get rough for Heat fans. I mean, really rough for Heat fans. This is a sacrifice you have to make if you want a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that's Kel'el Ware. I know. Heartbreaking. But it needs to happen. So yeah, Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, and Kel'el Ware. And look, Milwaukee would not be doing their job if they didn't ask for some picks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Milwaukee a unprotected 2029 first round pick and an unprotected 2031 first round pick. I'm going to give them two first round picks. Actually, you know what? Let's sweeten this thing up a little bit. Because what I'm anticipating is that Milwaukee's going to want the Miami Heat to be really bad very, very soon. Since it's 2025, let's go 5 more years down the line. Let's actually give Milwaukee the 2030. Let's actually give Milwaukee the 2030 first round pick and the 2032 first round pick. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And as soon as we make this trade, it's a success. So this is the trade that could eventually help us get Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now there is one bit of a problem. The Miami Heat are going to have only 12 standard contract players, and they need to get to 14 for the roster compliance. So what this means is that we have to either sign players from free agency or trade for more players from Milwaukee. And you might think, oh, I know where this is going. He's going to have to trade his brothers. Yeah, I would say that, but the only thing is we can't yet. There is a restriction that prevents us from trading for Thanasis Antetokounmpo. I don't exactly know why there's a restriction. If you guys know, comment down below why. But yeah, so we can't trade for him until December 15th. Now, granted, I do think that by then, I think things are... Now, granted, I don't expect this trade to happen overnight. I definitely think this trade is going to take some time for it to actually develop. But I will say that if it is going to happen, it's going to happen either this month in December or in January. But to make things work, I would say that we're going to have to bring in one of these players, a player that Milwaukee doesn't really like anymore. I'm thinking of somebody. I'm thinking of somebody in particular. Here he is, Andre Jackson Jr. Look, 24 years old. He's been in the league for 2 years at this point. I think that's a guy that the Miami Heat could really potentially really like. He's given Milwaukee some pretty nice minutes. Oh boy, would I love to steal AJ Green from Milwaukee. But if we go ahead and try again, it's still a success. That, in my opinion, is what's going to have to happen if Miami is going to want to trade. That is literally the package that needs to be done. Now, if this package were to go through, you're talking about a starting lineup of potentially Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then Bam Adebayo is going to the 5. Now, does that scream championship starting 5? Based on this year, yes, it does. Davion Mitchell has been a phenomenal point guard. He's improved so much as a passer, on top of the fact that he can defend. I don't even need to mention Norman Powell. He's going to be an all-star this year. And Jaime Jaquez Jr. is a 6th Man of the Year candidate. So with that being said, that starting 5 is solid. I guess the only problem now would be, what is our bench going to look like? It is likely going to look like Drew Smith, Pele Larson, Nikola Jovic, Kaspers Yakushonis, Simone Fantecchio. Oh man, the bench would look absolutely rough. Andre Jackson Jr. is probably going to have to be in there somehow. The Miami Heat would essentially have no backup big if this trade were to go through. That's the sacrifice you get for trading for a guy like Giannis. But granted, the Miami Heat do have a track record of finding guys somewhere. Finding guys literally anywhere. So, in my opinion, it's not really out of the realm of possibility for the Miami Heat to still manage to be okay in spite of the fact that they don't have a true center on the roster. Now, granted, we could go to free agency and sign somebody, but I doubt that's going to happen. I really do. Is this trade likely? I don't know. I really don't, because I think Miami is incredibly high on Kel'el Ware. I think Pat Riley is in love literally with Tyler Hero. And then those first round picks, I really don't think Miami cares too much about the first round picks, because we've seen it. The first round picks can be late, they can be early, they can be second round picks. It literally does not matter. Pele Larson is an important rotational piece for us, and he's a second round pick. So it's not like Miami has had trouble finding gems. But yeah, that's the sacrifice. That, in my opinion, is the trade that the Milwaukee Bucks, in my opinion, are going to want. They're going to have a Tyler Hero. They're going to have an Andrew Wiggins. And I'm interested to see what the pairing of Ware and Turner is going to look like. I honestly doubt that that pairing even sees the court. But yeah, the Bucks are basically focusing on rebuilding, and I think it's a great start to build around a guy like Tyler Hero, who's just entering his prime, by the way. Yeah, it's happening. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be traded. I expect it to happen by the trade deadline of this year. I don't know if the Miami Heat are going to somehow find a way to get this done, but if they can, ladies and gentlemen, a championship might be coming to the Miami Heat sooner than we think. It's going to take a lot. It really is, and I know a lot of people might say, oh, that's too much. Hero and Wiggins and first-round picks are too much. Hero, Wiggins, Ware, that's too much. The first-round picks, that's too much. Guys, the Milwaukee Bucks are trying for the future, man. And this trade, in my opinion, it not only helps their future, but it could potentially be a quicker rebuild because of this trade. And for the Miami Heat, look, you're trying to contend now. It's really that simple. If you truly believe, the only way this trade doesn't happen is if you truly believe Kel'el Ware can turn into an insane specimen. And I understand he's 21 years old, and it's very possible that he can be. But man, the thought of a Giannis Bam Adebayo backcourt has me foaming at the mouth. I think if you have an opportunity, you take it. These two players are in their primes. Giannis is still playing like an all-time great player. If it's possible, you do it. And I think the Miami Heat shouldn't pass up on an opportunity at a generational player like Giannis. Are the Miami Heat going to make this trade? Is Pat Riley finally going to bring a star to Miami for the first time since Jimmy Butler? Is it going to happen? I doubt it. I think the team is looking very, very good so far this year. And I don't know if Miami wants to ruin any kind of chemistry. Like I said, they really like Hero. They really like Ware. It's very possible that Pat Riley has his hands under his pants and just decides to go ahead and run it this year. I'm super excited. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video. Hype the video if you're on your phones. That's completely new to me. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Dale.